Hi everyone, I'm Sweety, design team member of Craftyscrappers, and today I'll be showing you 3 different card ideas for Holi, the festival of colors. Let's start with what I got from Craftyscrappers in this month. So this is a clean, simple and pretty card by Konica, and here are the stamps that I got. I think the floral stamps are just gorgeous. But today, let's play with Celebrate Holi stamp set. Craftyscrappers has launched a lot of stamps for Holi. Check out their website for more designs and a good deal on all of these stamps. I will first be making the interactive portion of the card. For this, I am taking a white piece slightly smaller than my main card panel. I am scoring it in the middle. Next, I am going to mark at 1 inch above the score line and 1 inch below the score line. Let's actually draw the lines so that it's easier for us to see everything more clearly. Now, I will cut out 6 lines using the trimmer. Finally, let's score these boxes so that they pop up like this. Notice how the boxes are not at equal distance, but you can definitely measure and create the boxes. I simply like the interactive feature and I find it okay even if they're not really perfect. They look pleasing to the eye and I'm fine with that. It's important to ensure that you are able to close this flap properly. It's an essential feature to make this card work. Let's move on to stamping our images. I'm using Archival ink for this purpose. The Holi color and plates are separate images and therefore you can do paper piecing more easily, and that means you'll be able to create more realistic looking plate by using paper piecing technique. Now it's time to color the images. I'm using watercolor. The colors that I'm using here are just the same as the color of my Shimmer Paste. It's nothing fancy, just some basic watercolor. I will later cover it with the Shimmer Paste of coordinating color. To make the interactive feature even more interesting, I'm going to stamp a sentiment on each box that we created. Remember to add your stamping before gluing down the images. You can make it even more interesting by stamping everything in different colors. But I like my sentiment to really stand out, so I use black to stamp my sentiments. Now it's time to add Shimmer Paste. This is the fun part. I'm using Shimmer Paste in a very thin layer to cover only one portion of the image so that even the lines on these images are very clearly visible. Since the image already has the color underneath, even this thin layer will add interest to the image. And you can see how these colors are just so pretty. You can use any 3 colors which are festive to create this kind of effect. The Shimmer Pastes which were released recently, they had a more pop of color and sparkle. So if you like that kind of sparkly colors, you can definitely use those. But I have chosen a more subtle pastel color for the combination on this card. Now let's decorate the front portion of the card. For the front panel, you can definitely use a lot of images from this stamp set. I'm using this plate of sweets as my focal image. But you can definitely go for a variety of different focal images from this stamp set. As you can see, there is a blast of color, then we have a few pitchkaris or even a bucket and a few balloons. So you can definitely play around with these images and do something fun with them. To add even more interest on this card, I am going to stamp the image on a masking sheet. These masking sheets are also by Craftyscrappers and they are very comfortable to use. They do not leave any residue behind and they're so easy to cut. So I'm going to cut the image from the masking sheet, place it down on my main image before I color in the image. This way, even if the masking sheet ruins the focal image a little, I would be able to hide that with my coloring. So I'm going to stamp these color blasts with the green and pink ink here. These colors go well with the colors that I have used on the inside of the card. Now let's remove the masking sheet and we can see that the image is entirely intact. Before I do the main coloring, I decided to add the sentiment. To make the card even more interesting, I decided to use the letters from a sticker set. This way you can make the letters even bigger than they are in the stamp size, or maybe they just add a new element to the card, just like I'm doing here. I couldn't get over adding details in this card, so I decided to pop up these sweets by stamping them separately, cutting them out, and now I'm just darkening the edges a little bit so that it hides my mistakes while cutting. It also hides the white paper that is exposed once you cut the paper. Now I'm going to pop these sweets right into place. And as you can see, it just makes everything come together, makes it more realistic and pretty. Now I'm using a Sakura pen. This is micron pen. It has got Archival ink in it. Since I've stamped my image with Archival ink, adding details with this pen will not ruin the image at all. It will not stand out. And I promise this is the last detail I added in this card. These are some sequins from prom dress. I think this is my favorite sequin set launched by Craftyscrappers. It has got a variety of sequins. Okay, I think I made a mistake. This is the last detail that I added. Let's just say I'll keep on adding details until I'm happy with it. As you can see, I change my mind frequently. Initially, I wanted to add black stripes because they are bold and they look nice on every card. But somehow pink was my choice of color that day, and I decided to change the stripes to pink. So I simply took a marker and drew some pink bold lines, and on top of that I added some black lines also, just to tone down the color a little bit. So this completes the look of the card, but eventually you'll see me adding some glitter on this pink color as well, and that made the card even prettier. I think while making a card, you should really not stop until you're extremely happy with what you made, until you know for sure that there was nothing more you could do to make it prettier. So artistic musings aside, I'm going to add the inner panel as well now that all the top portion is done. As you can see, I always ensure that the edges are covered properly in glue. Now that my Holi colors are all dry and set with the sparkle paste, I'm just going to glue the plate portion with the stand in a way, so it pops out and makes everything look more 3D. The colors are not really completely dry, so I was so excited to create this that I just glued them all. Now I'm going to leave aside this card to dry, but it looks fun, doesn't it? Now let's move on to our second card. This card is so much fun to create with kids and to just get messy before Holi comes actually. I'm just going to dip my paintbrush in some shimmer paints. These are metallic paints and they have a nice shine and luster to them. I'm just going to randomly put all these colors on my fingers and hand, and as you can see, this is the handprint that I got on my card. Imagine sitting down with your kid and creating this card. I think it's very much fun and it can be a group activity if you like. And this card is so easy to create that you can actually do it in mass production. So anyways, I'm just simply cutting out the fingers on the edges. This way I have a more interactive feature to this card. Now I am going to take another piece of paper that I think will go inside on the card. But as you can see, the sky blue color was so boring for a bright and colorful Holi. So I decided to switch to a more bright, happy yellow color for my card base. As in this stamp set, there are a lot of stamps, a lot of sentiments that will go well with this card design. That includes "You make my life colorful" or "Live your life in colors." These are sentiments, everyday sentiments that you can use in your cards. So this stamp set is not really limited to Holi and you can use it for various purposes. As you can see, I limited the stamping in one portion of the card. This way the card looks more modern and I like it better this way. This is the final card that I made using this brush stroke in the card set, in the stamp set. And as you can see, the card is quite modern and pretty. I used almost all of the 7-8 colors that I had in my stash to stamp this brush stroke. I hope you liked how these cards turned out. If you want a list of products used in these 3 cards, they are listed in the description box below, as well as on my blog and Craftyscrappers blog. If you have any other queries, I encourage you to leave them in the comments below. I hope these cards inspired you, and if they did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.